Aloha! I just wanted to come on here and thank you for following my Sally the sourdough starter journey. We're beyond day 8, and I want to do a little review to figure out where we are and where we're going, or where she's going. So, what do we know? We know Sally is a legitimate sourdough starter. She's alive. She is now let's think of her, she's the mother, of all my sourdough projects. So that could be, if you need a visual, she's the root and trunk of my sourdough tree, and every discard recipe and every legitimate sourdough recipe I make from here on forward are going to be branches off of that tree, right? The crackers were a branch, the crumpets were a branch, the project I'm working on now is a branch. So there you have it. She's the mother tree. So speaking of discards, we discard every time we feed. I'm planning to keep her alive, I should say. Alive, I'll come back to active shortly. Alive on my counter for the next week because I have a ton of recipes I want to try. So that's the plan. For the next week, she's going to be alive. I'm going to reduce her feedings to once a day because twice is a little too much. It was necessary to get the yeast and the lactic acid bacteria active, moving and feeding, and in the rhythm of developing, right? And now that they're in that 2-day zone and they're in the right rhythm of, oh, this is our job, and the SCOBY that they created is healthy, I can reduce that back to once a day. So that's the plan. A week, one feeding a day. So what do you do when you feed? You take the discard. Let's talk about discard. Discards can be used as is, as I did with the crackers or this morning's crumpets. Yum! In any case, discards can also be kept in your fridge for a week. They say you could keep it for 2 weeks, but it gets super tangy at that point. And honestly, I don't know that it would last beyond the day when I do it. So there you have it. A discard can be used within a week is my recommendation of taking it. Now, the discard happens and you feed the mother. You give her the water and flour as you usually do, and you pay attention, you see what she needs, you feed her, you stir her up, and you make her happy, put her to bed. The next day, same thing. Now, with the discard, you could create something called the levain. The levain is when you take a portion of the mother and intentionally feed it to become the full portion necessary for a project. So I did that today. Besides making crumpets with the morning, with her morning discard, I took discard from one of the keiki and made a levain, or the basis, the sourdough basis for a sourdough pizza dough making. So that's currently in the bulk fermentation stage, which means it needs to proof for 6 to 8 hours before the next stage happens. So 2 ways of using the discard from your feeding. You can use it as a discard, or you can take it and feed it and develop it into its own rightful sourdoughness, and use that in a sourdough recipe. Okay. Now, earlier I said the word active. Let's talk about that. Active is when you feed it, and within the next 4 to 8 hours, it doubles, it grows. The yeast and lactic acid bacteria are active. It's feeding, right? So it's creating all these bubbles in the mother, and it's growing. That's the active stage when they're feeding and it's growing. Inactive is once they've hit that peak and are deflating and falling. When they're coming back down, that's when they're like, "Ooh, bro, that was, oh no, okay, I'm going to crash," right? That's what the yeast and bacteria are doing. They're like, "I'm out. You can find me in my food coma on the bed over there," right? That's what's happening in that inactive stage. It's fine. It just means they ate and now they're resting. And that's what you want, is that rhythm every time you feed them. The stages are active, peak, inactive, right? That's what you got. And so whenever somebody says active or fed sourdough, that's active or fed. If a recipe calls for inactive or unfed, that's this side, when they're on the down slope of the feed. So probably not within the first 8 hours of the feed, but thereafter, before the next feed. That's inactive versus active, which is why I apologize for saying that word earlier. She's alive, I should say. So that's where we are. We got the mama, we got her offshoots or her branches of recipes. I'm going to feed her once a day for the next week. Hopefully try other recipes. If they're ono, I'll share them with you for sure. I apologize for not sharing the crumpet one. I was just focused on eating breakfast. But the next time I make it, I'll share it with you. I'll also, if I'm successful with my pizza dough, I will tell you all about it next time. Otherwise, I may not see you every day. But I will give you Sally updates. And if you've got any questions or any thoughts about sourdough, please comment. Just remember, I'm the big proponent on you do you. This is me doing me. And yes, there are a gazillion different resources and experts on sourdough. By all means, go follow them. Go. This is me just trying to keep it simple for you so that if you're afraid and concerned about hydration levels and this and that and percentages and grams, you don't have to be. This is the simple way to make it happen. Now, from here forward, yes, sister, it gets crazy scary. Because the recipes, the legitimate sourdough recipes are where we start talking about, besides levain, which is a fancy French word for just saying we're going to use what we get and then make some more. But that's when we start talking about percentages in recipes, and hydration is the biggest question. So I'm not going to get into that here. I just wanted to say, if you disagree with my method, right on. You believe what you believe. This is me doing me, and you. Do your research. You do what you want with your take. You want to use rye flour. You want to use all-purpose flour. You use what makes you happy, honey. And I'm happy with that. I'm happy with Sally as she is and everything she's producing for me so far. Hopefully the two keiki that she went two families, her two keiki that went two families today, are happy with her and allow Sally's motherness to continue with them. Anyhow, thanks again. That was much more than I intended to say, but I am super happy to have had you with this journey. I'll keep you posted on fun things, and go sourdough! Aloha.